We actually talked about, you and I talked about this a little earlier. Actually, we all did. Eric S., can you just go into the desert in Arizona and shoot, provided it's public land? Here we are in New Orleans, and I was talking to you, and I'm like, how do you do shooting at all?
Yeah.
Because the answer to this is yes, sort of. If it's BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, which is federal land in Arizona, and you have a legitimate backstop, and you're a certain distance from a quote-unquote improved road or an occupied structure, it's legal to shoot. So all you got to do, you meet those basic requirements. Backstop, federal BLM land, distance from a road or an occupied structure, legal to shoot.
So jealous.
Really
so
is.
Jealous.
And it's like that in all of the BLM land amongst most of the Southwest.
And then when you get to like Houston and everything
Forget
to the
it.
east, forget about it. It's non-existent as far as I know. I mean,
just last night in the apartment, we were watching CGP Gray's video on what is federal land.
Yeah.
And it'll blow your, if you're from, like, as I grew up back east, I've been moving west my whole life. But back east, there's states with almost no federal land. Some coastline maybe is federally protected. The state of Nevada, the border of Nevada, if you look at, something like 93% of that state doesn't belong to the state of Nevada.
Yeah.
It's federal land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Arizona is up there high. It's
It
like
is.
70%, 70-something.
Oh, I thought it was more in the 40s,
It might be.
but it's still huge.
It's high.
Here's the deal, though. What's interesting about Arizona,
Utah, yeah.
Arizona has two different types of public land, federal and state. And the Arizona Constitution states that state trust land is there for public use with certain caveats. You can do hunting on it, you can camp on it, you have to buy a permit to do it. You have to have like a little state trust land permit, but you can't shoot on it recreationally. It's only there for hunting. The only place you can recreationally shoot is federal BLM land. So if you think you can go onto state land in Arizona and shoot, you're actually sorely mistaken, and you could get fined or whatever could happen to you by a ranger. But BLM land is cool.
You can't put up a clay target and be like, it's coming right for us.
No, but people try to argue, but I was zeroing my rifle. All right, you know what? You don't need to play those shenanigans. You live in a place where there's a lot of open space and freedom. Just go find BLM land and do it legitimately, and don't play that game. We have.
I wish we could do that.
Oh,
I wish that there was BLM land for us to use.
What about targets floating in the river?
Oh my God, that'd be so fun. I'm actually a little.
Algiers may not dig it.
Yeah. Right. I know. Wonder if you could skip one across. Maybe not. But
West Bank bound.
Yeah. I mean, I hate how polluted the Mississippi River is. And I would hate to add more to it. I know that's kind of like my hippy-dippy kind of statement of the day, but
it's funny you say that. If you're at Camp Perry, Ohio, where the national matches have been running forever, you shoot through targets straight into the lake. All the bullets for 100 years are laying in the lake.
It's terrible.
Well, it's Ohio. I mean, Ohio is kind of a train wreck of a state with pollution.
Oh, now we're going to hear that from the audience.
Hi, everyone from Ohio.
And by the way,
sorry, you don't like what I say, but you have no political capital.
They are making ammunition now where they have reduced lead content. And I hate saying this because Federal is they're a sponsor of TFBTV, but I am still. It doesn't matter if they were or they weren't. I like talking about Federal Syntech because it's got like a polymer jacket, but more importantly, a lead-free primer. And so I've been railing on that. They haven't paid me to talk about it, but I'm like, please send me more of this stuff. So lead's a big deal. That's like kind of my thing. Get off my soapbox.
Well, it's not a topic we asked here, but it's actually a point that's poignant. Is that I think one of the things that's held back people adopting or doing or using less environmentally damaging ammunition is the fear that it'll be enforced by law versus why it's the right thing to do, right? It's kind of like, it's like that thing is like, well, if they force us to use these things, suddenly we won't be able to get ammunition anymore. And I can see that concern, but like, that's what M855A1 and M8, like that EPR, even though it's got a higher penetration capability with the tungsten core, it's an all copper bullet. It was actually designed to be more environmentally friendly.
Yeah,
from a military
and I think that's great, and I wish people would be more cognizant of that.
Well, the military is doing that. That's their whole, that was part of the purpose of that round.
Awesome.
That's kind of interesting. So, PHILLIP W. I know you've asked this about 80 and 1,000 times, and every time it comes up, it's like never got on the list. So this is strictly me. Do I find it irksome when InRange is referred to as forgotten weapons? No, I don't. I mean, forgotten weapons has been a huge component of the collaboration between me and Ian that's made InRange something that's possible of being successful. So that's a really great thing, and Ian's awesome to have as part of InRange, and I've been on forgotten weapons from time to time, and that's a really cool thing too. The only thing I find irksome is when people misquote me as someone else saying something else, which is not, that happens outside of InRange and forgotten weapons. So no, not at all. I do think we have different focus to our channels, but other than that, no.
I mean, both great channels.
Yeah,
like if
I watch both.
I would be flattered if I got mistaken.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
either.
No,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah. So let's see
Never
here.
happened, but
Skwerl D. I think I'm pronouncing that right. SKWERL. What are your thoughts on 300 Blackout?
oh shit, I love 300 Blackout. Mainly because you've got, and now that I've had like 16 beers, it's like this one, it's teed up for me, and I've had like a lot of Abita strawberries. But
I'm on the hard
no,
stuff now.
No, but that said, I love 300 Blackout for a lot of reasons. I love the functional grain weight range that you have, and I love the ballistic coefficiency of 300 Blackout. I love the fact that I can have supersonic, whatever, like maybe as low as 105 grain, maybe sub 100. I can't remember off the top of my head, all the way up to something approaching like 45 caliber, like almost 230 grain, like 200, 215 grain in weight. And all I have to do with any of my pre-existing 5.56 223 rifles, all I have to do is change the barrel. That's it. It uses the same bolt face, everything. It's more functional and more versatile than 7.62 39. I know people are going to want to kill me, but other than the casing geometry, superior pretty much in every way to 7.62 39. I think it totally obsoletes. I know that there's like a different word for that. I'm using it wrong, but it renders 7.62 39, in my opinion, obsolete. I love the fact that I can go from subsonic, from a hard-hitting subsonic 200 plus grain round with one magazine. I shift to another magazine and I get greater distance. So I mean, I love it. I think 300 Blackout's the best. Now you guys can crap all over it.
Which I'm probably going to do actually in a moment. Did you have thoughts on it?
The main thing that I find 300 Blackout to be amazing for most of the innovations you've described, the logistical simplicity, which is a real concern for a lot of people who don't have infinite budget and infinite time. I think that as a metal to meat, like if you're shooting, like no bones about it, you're shooting humans. It is not a long distance round, it's not very flat shooting, but if you're doing operations where you need to clear rooms, you need to drop bad guys, it is a good development. The criticisms, one I have and one other people have, I think it makes it's one more way for civilians who will never be running, a door kick operation with a SWAT team to think they're cooler than they are. Like, are you really shooting? Like, it could be like, well, it's also good for hogs.
You better not been shitting on airsoft earlier.
I'm saying it is one more way for some people to spend money they don't need to spend. Some people make this safety concern that I don't quite rock when they say, well, it's so close to 5.5, they could mix up their magazines. Mm-hmm. You'll probably speak to that. Because my opinion is, if you are specialized in your craft and you could use it to a great advantage, you have the skill and training that you will never mix up freaking rounds, because that's your job, is to just be good at this shit. I definitely think that it is more hyped than it needs to be, but I don't think it deserves the crap that it gets. And please deliver Karl some of that sweet, sweet sauerkraut crap.
I'm not going to crap on anything you said, because everything you said is legitimate and true. What I do have an issue is one of the things you brought up with 300 Blackout can be accidentally put into a magazine filled with 5.56. It's real easy to do, and almost completely chambered and then fired, which then detonates the rifle. It happens with some regularity. Now,
I won't dispute that.
If you somehow keep them apart, like completely, and so there's no possibility of that ever getting intermixed, good on you, but the real world exists and things happen. 5.45 and 5.56 can easily get mixed up as well. I have learned that actually from my own experience. However, it won't fire. It just gets stuck. 300 Blackout will chamber sufficiently close enough that when you pull the trigger, it goes off, but it's not a battery. It is a very dangerous thing in that regard. Now, if you're very specialized, that might mitigate it, but it's a real risk, and there's pictures all over the internet of 300 of 5.56 guns blowing up.
Doofuses, man.
Well,
Jeez,
yeah,
people doing that.
It's easier than you'd think.
I don't want to dumbass shame.
No, it's easier than you think. Then my other problem with that, besides that, is that all those innovations you're talking about came out in 1942 in a cartridge called 8mm quartz, which was 8 short. The Germans were the first ones to invent an intermediate there was a lot of intermediate cartridge development. So let me not say first, because there's always something that came before something. They were the first ones to truly adopt and mass distribute and produce rifles chambered in an intermediate cartridge, 8mm short, 7.92 by 33. If you look at the ballistic effectiveness of 8mm quartz, 125 grain bullet at velocity, it is identical to the standard loading of 300 Blackout. So we have gone back to 1942 with a cartridge that already existed, but like renovated it to fit in a 5.56 magazine, but not done anything to prevent a 5.56 gun from blowing up using it. So that makes me kind of wonder, if that's something we wanted, why not just put an 8mm quartz barrel on a gun, avoid the accidental detonation issue, and just expand the SAMI specifications, which don't exist actually, for 8 short?
I really don't know enough about 8mm Kurtz to opine.
But that's my take.
But I wish I had a sizzling burn right now.
Could you make an AR that would take a Stanag mag that could adapt to 8 Kurtz, or a Stanag
that's what I was looking
magwell?
for. Yeah.
You would have the magwell wouldn't have to change, but the magazine architecture would.
Okay.
Yeah, see, but then that makes it shitty. I mean, that's.
I think it makes it safer. Because it means this mag is this, and this mag is that.
But I
You
mean,
still use your lower.
Oh my gosh! Of all,
you can still use a lower.
Of all people, to say that we need to do something to prevent people from exercising their own free will and their ability to make fucking mistakes. Of all people, I never thought it would be called.
Oh my God!
Saying
that's going to become a meme now. Well,
I hope so.
Fair enough, but no, I just think that there was.
It's like, look, I get it.
I think it was a better way to skin the cat, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, has anybody actually died when that happened?
That I don't know.
I doubt it.
ARs actually explode really well.
Yeah,
They
sounds
do.
They do.
That
No,
sounds
no,
like
I
a
know
strange
what
thing
you
to say. That's
mean.
a gun that lets loose in a way that's almost always safe to the user.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, does it suck? Yeah. Has anybody died? Probably not. You know. So
fair.
I mean, I'm all for. I am pro 300 Blackout. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I don't. I wouldn't take it off the market. I wouldn't take it away from people. I'm just saying I think there was probably a better way to go about it. But I understand what the reasons are.
Take it as a
shooters I know.
compliment from you.
No, it
Build
is a
300
compliment.
builds to this day. Drew, my buddy Drew, just built one. Cool shooters I know build it regularly because there's a reason.
Yep.
All those are going in
Uncool-
recycling, by the way.
Uncool people buy it as well because they think it sounds cool. Which, whatever, America.
No, you actually made salient points as to why it's potentially.
Well, no,
better.
and I own suppressors. Like
Yeah.
I own also, like, you get a lot better efficiency out of a shorter barrel with 300 Blackout,
take one.
which is what I mean. The Rattler is, oh my God, one of my most favorite guns. Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, sir.
Just toss.
But I love the Rattler, love the performance. I mean, my grandma
Twist
farts louder than 300 Blackout through a can with
does this
sufficient
twist?
internal diameter.
Oh, you have a opening ring.
No. This is just a regular old wedding ring.
Oh man.
Now, do I get to teach you something?
Yeah, let's see it. He's gonna hack this for you. Oh my gosh!
There it
First
is.
fucking time I've ever tried that.
Cheers.
Tungsten.
Awesome. All fair, and I wouldn't take it away. I'm just saying I find it interesting that the new thing is something that's literally based on one of the oldest things.
Sure.
That's kind of it, really. London J, what's the deal with chest holsters? Honestly, I'm beside myself as to whether that's a terrible idea or just another way of carrying a handgun with a vest. I've never done it.
Like chest holster,
think-
like up here
You
chest
see a lot of guys like in the sandbox where they've got the
Oh,
like, they're
gotcha,
sticking here
gotcha.
on their armor.
Yeah.
Instead of on their belt, it's up here on their armor.
I mean,
I feel
I
like
don't
they're rolling in a mobile warfare. They're in a mechanized vehicle of some kind, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit better than appendix. Like, you won't shoot your dick off, but it's also.
I like appendix for concealed.
No, I know, and I understand. And again,
Yeah.
there are very few things in the industry. I hope people can glean that I'll state an opinion, like
Sure.
I'll make a burn here and there because it's fun. But there are very few things where I'll say, no, that is dead ass wrong. And I will periodically carry appendix. I mean, especially if you're driving. I normally carry like over my right butt cheek. But and I've done TFBTV videos where it's like you're talking about a tenth of a second difference between appendix versus. Now that is unless
That's
you're
there's
coming
things
out.
that get in when you're grappling and all
Right,
that. But that's a whole
right,
other,
right.
That's
Right,
a different video.
totally different. We won't
Yeah.
get into that, but the point is, I mean, I guess I could see the draw because you can't carry appendix. Hey, that was a pun. You can't really carry appendix if you got all the shit on you, hanging off of you, and obviously, you're not going to carry. I mean, carrying on the waist you can do, but you have those people who like appendix for the reason they can come out and just basically start blasting whenever they get access on. That would kind of be the same thing. I mean, you'd be a little bit uncomfortably close to your face, but you can start blasting right then and there. So I don't know.
I've only ever seen chest rigs at least thought of as viable in military contracts.
That's what I think we're talking about here.
In which case you're either using a drop leg or you're.
And that's what I was talking about.
Exactly. So the mission dictates what you can and can't reach for.
I think it's as simple as this. Drop leg was an attempt to get away from the problems that armor induced with what a normal carry position would be. Yeah. This is another way to solve that problem. I think that there's really, in a combat situation, military application, I don't see a problem with it, quite honestly.
If you're doing it at Applebee's, you probably aren't doing it right.
Here's what I'm going to say to that, though. It does not have an application outside of that environment, and you would not be allowed to use it in any competitive or match environment for sure.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I can see the reason, and there's certainly not enough real estate on those guys to carry all the thingamajigs they need to carry, including the bag of batteries, literally like batteries. Yari from Finland, Varstaleka, one of my friends, he was talking about like when he's doing a military exercise, he's like the guy that ends up carrying like all the batteries, and it's like a ridiculous amount of batteries. Yeah. It's a ridiculous amount of batteries, but everything eats batteries. Mm-hmm. Now maybe you literally get to the point where you're like, where do I put this other pew?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'll put it here, right? I mean, it's kind of, I think it's as simple as that.
I mean, if it weren't frowned upon, I think it would actually be kind of rad. I mean, get like a Gucci chest holster. I mean, think about it. If somebody had to take that away from you, at least they've got to come and reach up on your chest. I mean, I even worry about the fact I carry inside the waistband tuckable quite often with my workwear. And, if you have somebody who knows what that little clip is, that's going over your belt.
That's true.
It's like I can't see them, but they can see my gun and where it is. So, I mean, just for the sake of argument, I think it might be kind of fun, if it were socially acceptable to like pirate carry,
Multiple.
Yeah,
I'll just have it like magazines.
Oh, no, Glock 17, Glock 19, Glock 26.
Depending, situation dependent.
Yeah, obviously.
Brock F., in your opinions, what is a useful skill set for an individual to have that is not specifically computer or marksmanship based? Who wants to start with that? Conversational skills?
I think being persuasive, being conversational will get you further than anything else in life, period.
Communication.
Communication. And I was a communications major whenever I went to the Ivy League Florida State University. But no, I think communications are extremely important.
I like that answer a lot.
I love that answer.
I do.
In fact, I just gave a talk in Florida late last year where I talked about de-escalation tactics. Doc Thompson, who talked about, he just recently passed away a few years ago, but verbal judo, about, you validate someone's concerns, you redirect, and you diffuse situations. And for all the lip service that people give in CCW classes about how, well, you always want to make sure you get yourself out of a environment that's hostile. You want to make sure you don't have to draw. There's not a lot of workshop that goes on. You get your range drill in your CCW class, but no one actually does a Doc Thompson style workshop of like, this is how you diffuse an asshole and walk away, and no one has to pay a lawyer the price of like.
Whoa! Let's slow down.
You're undercutting his business here.
Well, let's be honest. Someone who I respect greatly told me that a clean shoot, a good shoot, is the equivalent of walking to the nearest car dealership, buying this year's model, and driving it off a pier.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And that can be avoided if, yes, an asshole gets to go home and still be an asshole. But if you diffused him in the moment, that's so critical. I was thinking dirt medicine, but I actually liked your answer way better.
Dirt medicine.
No, I like that too.
Because you talk about this. You talk about being able to patch holes and be first aid.
Yeah, we all focus on making holes with guns,
but
we don't focus on what we do when someone's hurt. And people are more likely to be hurt ever, not even firearm related, around you in your life than ever a gun incident. And so knowing how to deal with that, and sometimes pulling something out of the trash can to literally hold a wound shut or tape it shut, is a very valuable life skill.
Yeah, sure.
But that wouldn't be my answer, but that's where you were going with it?
I thought that would be your answer. That was initially what I was thinking, but I like your answer way more.
I like that a lot.
Well, and I do like, and I wish I did more of like the trauma, I've taken no classes, I don't carry a tourniquet, but I understand when people say like, this is stuff you need to know, and I need to get off my dead ass and do it. It's
something
about,
that's much more likely to be necessary.
Yeah. I 1000% agree with that. I'm saying I need to do that, but it was just funny to go from like conversation to dirt medicine. You know, it was just the juxtaposition made me laugh.
So are
not
you
the concept.
Are you going to double down on that? Because I think it's a great answer.
I will double down on social skills, soft skills.
That one really, that's very compelling. Although my answer was neither of those.
Oh, I want to know your answer.
Mine is, it's kind of heady, and people can be like, but it's critical thinking. It's a skill. It's not something you're born with. It's something you learn, and I think we're lacking it in society to a very large degree.
In the era of news spin and anti-vax.
Everything. In an era of everything.
Like,
Is this real? Should I be looking at this from this angle? Was what told to me actually what it is? I think that would change a lot. And I think we're missing some of that.
Great answer.
That's a great answer,
too. And sometimes it's actually frowned upon, which is really weird. I don't quite get that.
You get criticized for being a cerebral, nerdy
Yeah, you're like,
person.
why are you doing this, right? But which this pins into. Michael J. At what point could be, but it's not.
Yes.
At what point does technology trump skill?
I think, well, I don't know. It depends really how you interpret the question.
Yeah.
But I think this day and age, I think any amount of technology can trump any amount of skill. I truly believe that. I'm sure that, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm sure that I'm wrong. I'm sure that there are other viewpoints, but I think that there's enough technology as we sit here today, especially when you see like the Boston Dynamics shit. I see that and I'm like, Judgment Day. You know, like the robots and all.
Oh yeah,
you know, and they're shooting now, and they're freaking shooting now.
They are.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm skeptical that I want to believe that skill will always triumph over technology, but I'm skeptical.
I think it's a ladders and walls game. I think as certain people's skill sets get better, technology can come along with a watershed moment and suddenly change the playing field. And like everything, no matter how great you are with doing your, Mad Minute, British bolt act, like, oh my God, repeating firearms came along.
Yeah.
Sorry, but...
Are you saying bolt guns are obsolete?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm actually very much saying that.
I heard someone say that once.
Yeah, I think it's a ladders and walls game. I think technology is always going to eke away at, or sometimes technology makes great leaps. Skill is a thin slicing situation.
Yep.
And there's always a place for, when we think technology has solved X, someone with the right skill will find a way to, technology is going to be boxed in and fail. Technology makes great leaps. Skill makes iterative change, but ultimately they are complementary situations. There's no one answer.
I always think of skill as rising to meet technology. You have new technology. We introduce
That's a good point. The
lasers
skill will come
tomorrow.
with it. Yeah.
The skill rises to the technology, and then by the time the skill gets to the point to the apex of technology's already leapt past. So I feel like it's a game of leapfrog, but instead of going over, you've got we're getting into tops and bottoms.
Technology sets the tone of each skill challenge.
Well, it's very interesting because it also means that certain skills that were considered important fall off. So, like, for example, let's say what you just said, that example was really interesting to me. So we get to the point where we have energy weapons, lasers, real laser weapons, like handheld laser weapons.
On sharks.
No, just handheld at this point.
I got you.
The skill of needing to know how to dope wind and do a ballistic calibration calculator to your distance at, like, I'm shooting this cartridge at 500 yards, the drop is X, dialing that in to be able to get the hit, that's gone.
Yeah.
But suddenly the skill of learning how to maintain a battery has gone up.
Right.
Like now, so this is gone, this is now important. Right?
Technology affects the skill landscape.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing. And you did mention something, this is off this topic, but when you talked about the drones, I think it's really interesting that I have not seen a lot of attention to this. We have had one really, a bad actor, a bad guy, but we've had one citizen, U.S. citizen on U.S. soil, killed by a drone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who was that?
The Dallas spree shooter killing cops.
And he was killed by a drone?
Yes, they tried to provide him a sandwich with a robot that exploded.
Oh, not an airborne...
No, but it's still a drone.
Oh, it is still a drone, but I think the viewers might say, holy shit, did someone fly in?
To me, that's a drone.
Yes.
That was a drone. I mean, he was a bad actor. I'm not defending anything here. That's terrible. And they had to put this guy down. Got it. But he was killed with a drone on U.S. soil, which is but that door's been breached. Is my point.
Sure.
That's what I mean by that.
I mean, and at the end of the day, if he's that fucking dumb, he's going to die because they're delivering a robot sandwich.
Yeah, no,
he was eventually going to...
I get that totally, but I guess
he
what I'm
was
saying...
going to fuck up
But that line has been like... There's always been this line about no drones being used as for combat situations, and that line did get jumped. Yeah. Now, has it been again? No. Did it need to happen? Perhaps, but I found it interesting that a lot of attention wasn't paid to that.
We're going to see much more drone in the future, including airborne drone.
Yeah.
We were seeing it back when ISIL was still...
wave.
When Daesh used drones not just for observe, but to drop payload, like, it democratizes force multiplication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drone, yeah.
Sebastian M., are RFID blocking wallets necessary for us normal folks, or is this trend just money-making?
I mean, RFID blocking wallets, you have this because you don't want someone to snarf your credential in your wallet. Now, that could be your corporate credential.
Snarfers.
Yes. You don't want your, like, corporate badge to be... and we do this all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, all the time we steal badges out of people's pockets. Now, payment cards, because you said wallet, right? Payment cards, there are contactless payment card systems.
Yep.
And they're way harder to mess with, and they're way harder to attack. Is an RFID wallet going to do the biggest, sure, you know, like, here's the thing. If someone said, this rifle weighs the same amount as this rifle, has the same manual of arms, nothing's different about it, but this rifle shoots flatter for an extra 300 yards. And you're like, really? Like, yeah, same weight, same properties. You'd probably choose that rifle. Unless it looks stupid. Mm-hmm. Like, it's only available in New York City Bloomberg Blue, like, you know, like from, circa. Like, RFID wallets, they look ugly because everyone's making a horribly ugly wallet. But, like, ultimately, it's just a wallet. It's leather and a shield. If it does the same thing that your other wallet does, but it also blocks credential attacks, all right, like, you might get it. And many people do. And that's fine. But payment cards, RFID as an attack for payment cards, that's not common. Credentials, actual access control credentials, that's a whole different jimmy jam. And that's what we like to talk about.
So this is as old a wallet as you can get held together with duct tape. This is not an RFID blocking wallet.
Not at all.
But I've tested this.
Oh, yeah.
Garble card. This is it's just a credit card sized device. You get 2 of them, and you just put it in your wallet, pretty much in between all the cards in your wallet, and it makes any wallet an RFID blocking wallet.
Ish. I will thin slice your answer, sir, and say that unlike blocking, it
scrambles.
A Garble card will shout. We're not going to get into inductive coupling and how RFID works.
God, please, no.
I would love to if you want. I have the chips in my hand. I'll talk about that shit. But yeah, Garble card will grossly interfere with all the types of attacks that I and my team would do against credentials.
Well, we did try to break through my wallet.
We did. Couldn't do it.
We did not. We were not able to.
It was not possible.
So it's correct. It technically does not block, but it scrambles the information so badly that it becomes unusable.
All I know, you try to steal my RFDs, I'll kick your goddamn ass.
You wouldn't know.
But he looks so determined saying that.
We're stealing.
I don't want to.
We're stealing it right now.
If I catch you, don't take my RFIDs.
That's why we invited you on this podcast.
Yeah. That's right here, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Teddy, we know Karl's interest in the Old West and the Eastern Front of the Great Patriotic War. Do you have a period of history that captivates either of you? I don't. Do you? Are you? I mean, maybe not historical guns, but do you have a period of history that kind of?
Oh, dude, I am actually a huge patriot in the non-traditional sense.
Okay.
When you say, so the Revolutionary War, to me, it's like the backbone of the Second Amendment. And I'm not going to get too political because you guys know us, we're guns, not politics. But that said, I think the Revolutionary War, oh man, it gets my motor running. I feel it in my plums every time I watched Hamilton. I'm a big musical guy. And I watched Hamilton, and that got me juiced up. Like, I love anything to do with the Revolutionary War. Did the guns suck? Yes.
But everybody's guns suck.
Really. Yeah, exactly. But in my opinion, of course, like at that time, it was the best they could get. And if you had James Reeves, like 1772 James Reeves, he would have loved those guns. But, it's like, as we sit here today, obviously from a firearms perspective, not really something that I care about. But that said, I mean, that was the war that birthed our country. World War I, World War II, voluntary, Vietnam. Well, I mean, World War II, of course, it's debatable because we were attacked on our own soil. But the way I feel about it, those were external conflicts. This was the war that made us the country we are today. So I get really jazzed up about it. Love the 4th of July every year. Take it very seriously. If you guys that watch TFBTV, you probably know I take it very seriously. So I'll stop now.
I think this is one that I answered in the Patreon thread where I was dropping pockets of history. And I said things like the Gilded Age and the interwar years and even the late 70s. All of these are periods in history when there was great social turmoil. There were a lot of forces where there was a lot of wealth, and there was disparate wealth, and there was friction. And when society is in friction and flux, it's honestly, I think, so there's an amazing documentary called New York 77, The Coolest Year in Hell. And Iggy Pop, many people are, like Blondie and other people are interviewed, but Iggy Pop says social friction and times of strife are good for the arts. I think of it when I lived in West Philly.
That's true.
Like, the police are, like, dealing with murder. Like, they don't have time to figure out, like, who's drinking on the street and who is having an illegal house party, like a punk show in a house in West Philly. Yeah. So, like, when the police have better shit to do, arts flourish because you can get really bold in a way that quality of life crimes don't get called in. And I'm not saying that's the right way. Like, everyone, even little Gladys Kravitz deserves to have her shades shut and not worry about her neighbors. But when there's weird friction in society and the cops have other things to do, art has historically been revolutionary. So that I find those to be interesting periods. And I'm not just talking about the freaking punk shows, right? Like Mark Twain, Gilded Age, you could throw serious shade at like slave owners and everyone else, but it was this weird jumble of a time. Berlin and the German interwar
I was going
years.
there with the Weimar Republic and the Bauhaus movement.
Oh my God, yes.
Dude, I'm drunk. Were we talking about war?
We are. We're talking about times when the big power structures are dealing with big shit, and they don't have time to like quash neighborhood flourishing. And that's when people get weird on the street corner. I'm okay with weirdness on the street corner. Because I don't have kids. I'm not walking them to the park and worrying about who that weird person is on a unicycle, throwing fire and like waving his dick around. To me, you throw fire, wave your dick around, like that's good for the arts. That's supposed to happen.
You know, actually, I like that answer so much that I'm going to end this Q&A on that question. The fact that we're ending on the Weimar Republic and Bauhausian art as a result of social cultural friction is a really cool way to end this Q&A.
George Washington!
So guys, thank you for watching this. If you are a supporter on Patreon already, $5 and above gets you into the Q&A questions. We can't get to them all, but we try to get to most of them. If you haven't gotten yours in yet, please just submit it again and say, second attempt or whatever. We'll try to get to it next time. I'd like to thank James.
No, thank you guys.
And Deviant for joining me on this Q&A, and hopefully you guys enjoyed having this like roundtable of three of us. If you are already a supporter, thank you so much. If you can be, please consider it. If you can't be, we understand. You can find all of the different distribution points for InRangeTV at InRange.tv. Thanks, and share with your friends.